Welcome to Hi Felicia. Hi Felicia, hi Felicia.
In a shocking update, we have Felicia. She's laughing. It's shocking. You weren't supposed to be here. I mean, you're supposed to be here, like, physically. Like, I'm not saying you're supposed to die, but I'm just saying, like, she's laughing. Goodbye to Felicia's gallbladder. But you're here.
I am.
You were bored. You're ready to get out of the house. You missed me.
That bladder had a lot of gall.
I miss you. I have, yeah. It really went so well. I can't believe it. And that should be the worst thing that ever happens to me.
Moment of silence to Felicia's gallbladder.
Yeah.
So
May it rest in peace.
we were supposed to have Dominick Pupa co-host to replace you, but now we're just going to have him zoom in for a segment.
Perfect.
But really, this whole week's been crazy. I've been in California. Fortunately, I was in San Francisco. There was an earthquake that I didn't feel, but obviously we all know what's going on in LA, to the point where I struggled to pay attention to shows this week. I was like really struggling. I would watch something, pause it, and like look for the news and like look on Instagram. So we have family out there. We've spoken about our cousin, your cousin Marilyn, her daughter Lisa, who we dearly love, who listened to the podcast and like messaged me today about the podcast. I was like, oh my God, they're evacuated from Brentwood. We're thinking of them. We have tons of friends who live in LA, because Casey and I met in LA. We lived in LA. And it's just so wild. It's just crazy. Like, do you think I'm hoping the Brentwood Country Mart doesn't get impacted? That's where Grandma's candy store was.
And I kept thinking if Grandma and Aunt Yetta were there, they would be.
It's just insane. But for our listeners,
awful.
Uncle Barry, who's been on the podcast before, Uncle Barry and his wife CJ,
They're fine.
They're okay because they're in Hacienda Heights.
Which I'm not sure.
Casey, map-wise, Hacienda Heights is nowhere near this.
I think they're good. Yeah, they're
Yeah, but it all, as I spoke to Uncle Barry, and he obviously, depending on the winds, where it blows, he told me it's been very dry, it hasn't rained,
Right.
and it's just a tinderbox ready to go up.
It's so upsetting to watch that it got us talking last night. You know, a big topic of conversation now is, if there was a fire, what would you pull from your house? Okay. So now, side note, Casey reminded me, Casey made a get out list years ago.
Oh.
And not in the natural disaster, hurricane, flooding
Issue.
mind. His idea was
It's
like,
more for societal collapse.
no, it was like apocalypse.
Oy.
He made a get out list in case that movie, Leave the World Behind. What was it called?
Leave the world behind.
With Julia Roberts.
Oh,
Like,
This was
right,
before that movie
right.
dropped, by the way.
Oh, 1,000%. Like, he's a prepper. Don't be ashamed. We have food for months. We literally a prep. So last night, our neighbors were like, Casey, let's see the list.
Oh.
I hadn't seen I don't even think I've seen the list.
Right.
I wish you put an OG date on this list, because, Mom, you're going to die when you hear what the first thing is on this list. I took a picture of it.
Passport, birth certificate, insurance things.
Keep guessing.
I don't know.
The first thing, it says get out,
Yes.
is Felicia. Look at this. You're the first thing on this list. Isn't that, are you done? Yeah. He said Felicia.
We gotta get Felicia out.
She's crying.
Oh,
And
that's really nice.
He thought of you before our pets.
That's when I lived in Oceanside.
It must have been, but the fact
Felicia,
that
then the shotgun.
it says Felicia, then
Then
food,
the-
then drinks,
then the safes.
medication, batteries, chargers, electronics, computer, lockbox, all the
Wow.
things.
Oh.
Felicia, you're the first thing on that list.
Well, you were living geographically closer.
Yeah,
then.
but-
now I don't know if I'm
obviously.
going to Plainview to pick
But
you
isn't
up.
that? I couldn't. I was like, oh my God, we have to tell her this.
Yeah, that's
how
very
nice
sweet.
is that?
Yeah, that is very.
Your son-in-law
I
put
know,
you
because
as the
I-
first on this
listen,
list.
I always say Casey is the best son-in-law, the best human being, and I've told you that.
I was like, I
from
cannot
day
believe you
one.
have my mother on the top of this list.
It's very sweet.
So
Thank
now we'll have to juggle
that.
the.
you. Revamp that list.
If there's ever a natural disaster coming, you want to be with us, because we have. Casey is so well equipped. Our neighbors were like, "Can you take us with you?"
Right.
So I just.
But you don't have a bunker.
Not yet.
Which
So,
is kind of funny.
Yeah, I just was blown away by that. So
That's very sweet.
I'm hoping, if you're listening to the podcast, I don't know, if you're in California, maybe this is a minute where you could just take time to not think about the bad shit right now, and I don't know, just laugh. But I think LA, the whole Hollywood industry is going to really shift right now. Like, news was very slow this week because of it.
Right.
So any news I have kind of dropped earlier in the week. So let's
I'm
get.
sure everything that might have been scheduled for the
was
next-
delayed.
is
But even
Right.
voting for award shows has been delayed too. Like I vote for the Producers Guild. It was due, let's say, this date. Now that got pushed. So
well,
all the
yeah.
voting has been delayed. The
makes-
announcement of
right,
awards have been delayed
right.
as
Yeah,
well.
that
But the
would be
question is, will
tacky.
the awards happen? I don't know.
I don't know. The next
It
thing
is a little
what is supposed-
weird.
is it,
Oscars are in March, but there's SAG, there's DGA, all that shit's in February.
right.
So many award shows.
Right.
It's going to be a whole shift in energy and vibe, and it should.
It should.
It should. And I think people are going to feel a little weird taking awards
yeah.
when some of these people lost homes.
Yeah.
Like it's
a lot of them.
Yeah, it's just so crazy. So let's get some updates, some Hollywood news. You know, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's season 2s of shows. Series are shorter. And you said that about The Diplomat.
Yes. But I've said it about every show. What used to be a whole season when I was younger,
Yeah.
was literally
No,
would
I'm-
start.
not when you're younger.
No, I mean, just it was always
Yeah.
September to maybe the end of May. Now it's September.
We're talking about streaming, okay?
Well,
Like,
all right, streaming's
so
a whole
for
other
instance,
story. I can't
know,
even, you know.
but season 2's streaming wise, you have The Diplomat, The Recruit, Tell Me Lies, which we watched, House of Dragon, and Bad Sisters all had shorter season 2.
Why?
Budget.
Why?
Budget.
Budget.
It's so
Okay.
sad. So I just thought that was interesting. Like we're aware of it. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Okay.
Army Hammer has landed a lead role in a movie.
Wow,
A thriller.
He's climbing.
The Dark.
He's climbing out of the pit.
It's a major comeback.
Wow.
The Dark Knight. I thought that was interesting. And I want to know, did you see Hoda's last show?
Yes, I did.
How? I mean, I've obviously seen a gajillion
I
clips.
did.
I was
but
flying.
I know. I was crying.
You cried.
I did. She is. Listen. She truly is sunshine and happiness.
She is.
She is. And I don't
think
it-
anybody would say it differently.
I don't think it's a pretense. I think it's truly her.
Yeah.
She has this great smile. She's just a happy, positive, wonderful human being.
I'm glad you watched it.
Yes, I did.
I know you watch if you're home.
I've always been watching the NBC morning show, you know, whether it starts at,
Right.
I'm never up at 7 to put it on, but usually I start at 8, 9, whatever. And it's just a lovely thing, everybody loves
So what
her.
was special that they did? Did they tell you who was going to co-host?
No, it's
next
gonna be
week.
Jenna. Well,
Because I haven't- I
don't
know who.
next week, but I know the week after she has somebody for a whole week, and I don't remember.
Scarlett Johansson
Yes.
is guest co-hosting the week of the
a whole
20th.
week. Right? But who's starting Monday?
I don't know. Maybe
don't
it'll
know.
just be
They-
Jenna. Maybe it'll be like
No,
Jenna and Craig. No,
No.
All right, and you don't know.
No, I don't know.
Well, you should know.
I don't know.
Maybe
they might have
Scarlett-
said it, and I didn't hear it. Wasn't paying attention.
So I guess obviously Scarlett and Colin live in New York because of SNL. So they're Yeah.
That makes sense.
that makes sense.
Or
so
they live in Westchester, whatever. It's the New York area.
why does everything have to be fucking Westchester? What about Plainview? What about Limerick? What about Long Island? Why is everything Westchester?
I don't know, Marni. It just seems to be Westchester. Nobody's moving to Plainview. They're not freaking moving to Plainview. Where does Dylan live?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And where's Hoda moving?
We talked about this.
Wait,
The
say it again.
Bronxville.
Which is going towards Westchester. Duh.
Okay. Let's do some uncircumcised gems. So you were home all fucking week.
Yes, I was.
Let's take a moment. I think we shouldn't give you a Korean minute. I think we should give you a Korean moment. Let's talk about our listener that has been messaging you. She's lovely.
Yes, she is.
And
But
you could open your phone and like just summarize.
The problem is, I want to pronounce her name.
I think it's
properly.
Young Lee.
Yun. Forgive me. I really have a hard time pronouncing these. Young. She's lovely.
She's lovely.
I don't know where she is. She is in LA.
I reached out. She's fine. She's safe. We're thinking of you, but I do want to know. I love that you've been messaging my mom about Korean shows.
Yes.
So she gave us some Squid Game confirmations and some tea. Tell us what she said to you about the K-pop star that is on Squid Game. Oh, she told you that he was arrested.
Well,
like he was in a scandal for marijuana.
First, she sent me the gentleman who's the lead in Squid Game. She sent me a picture of what he looked like when he was younger.
Like the main guy?
Yes. And I wanted to show it to you. And this is what he looked like when he was younger.
OMG. Are you kidding me?
Incredibly
He's holding a football. He's on a beach and he's shirtless. We've got to post this. He is
Gorgeous.
I'm just like dead.
When I keep telling you, they're stunning.
But this is like he got older and skinnier, thinner, and
well,
just,
no, you change when you listen.
This is too much.
Yeah.
Fire. Wow. Thank you for sharing this.
And then she sent me a whole. And then she talked about the dessert
that I had in Michigan.
That you had in Michigan.
Okay.
And she sent me a picture of it. I mean, that's why I gave you the phone so you could look at it. And
I cannot.
We had a lot of conversation, and she always texts me once a week, and it seems to be about midnight for me, which would be around 9 for her. And I am up because I'm watching my Korean shows. And then we discuss about what I watched, what we like, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I think we're going to call her Miss Lee, and she's our new Korean rep. I just gave you that status update title. We could maybe have her on the pod too. But so she also mentioned that the guy that played Thanos, who was the rapper, was part of one of the biggest boy bands called Big Bang. He was a controversial hire because he was involved in a scandal. He went to jail because he smoked pot.
Yeah, they really are.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, they
and
are.
the transgender character, the reason why they had to hire somebody that wasn't transgender was because nobody was coming out for the part.
Right.
Because there's so little transgender people in Korea.
Or they don't want to admit to it.
I know. Because, no trans people were willing to come forth.
Right.
So, Mrs. Lee, I love this. Continue texting Felicia. You need this.
I love it. Or call me. I could talk to you for hours because I'm not great at texting.
Right.
And I mean, because it's so much.
She asked if you watched Glory.
And I did.
What's Glory?
Oh God, there's so many things, Marni. I can't
get over how hot the main dude is from Squid Game.
Yeah.
I hope Casey. I was away all week. Did you watch any more Squid Game?
Didn't have an opportunity.
What? What did he say?
I didn't have an opportunity.
Oh.
And I said if I had to wait for you, I still wouldn't have seen it.
By the way, you know who started watching Squid Game?
Karen.
Yes,
of course. Karen watches everything.
We really need to get a Karen sound effect.
I know. But wait, Karen started now she knows nothing about it. Imagine.
Oh, she didn't watch season 1? Did she start at season 1?
Yes, she did.
She has to. You can't come in season 2.
No, she started at.
Okay.
But
that would just be ridiculous to fast forward to the end.
Yeah. I said to her, you have to start at season 1 to understand. And,
Karen's in Florida.
Right. And I don't know. I mean, she was like a little horrified in the beginning.
We all are.
Yes. And I haven't spoken to her.
So we don't know where she's at.
Right now.
Fucking call her right now.
No,
Call her
right.
Call her. Just call her. Call her.
Put it on speaker.
Please, just call her.
What would a Karen sound effect be if we came up with one?
We're going to find out right now.
Let's see if she picks up.
Karen, it's Marni and Felicia.
Oh, hello there, and I'm in the car with Deb.
Well,
Felicia.
Karen, quick, we're recording the podcast.
Right now.
Oh, why do you want me?
Because Felicia's always talking about you. Quick question, where are you at with Squid Game?
Season 1. They just did the tug of war.
Oh, whew, what an episode. So,
Oh my God. Well, now I'm used to the killings. Before I was mortified. Now they're dead. They're dead.
just wait for season 2.
I can't wait. And I didn't think I was going to like it, and now I'm into it. Boy.
It's fantastic. So, thank you for your time. We will need you on the podcast. And I know you're a fan of The Traitors. And my suggestion to you is, because I heard your house in Florida doesn't have Peacock, download the app on your iPad.
Okay.
Okay, that's your job.
Okay, perfect. I love that job, and I'm going to do it.
Okay, love you. Bye.
I love you too. Have fun.
Bye.
Bye.
Who's Deb?
Deb is one of the girls that we went away with. We had such a good time with her.
Do you have FOMO?
No, I'm going in March.
Okay, great. Okay, we got that out of the way. So glad we called Karen.
I think when Karen, I don't know if Karen really gets the fact that she's going to be on air.
I think she'll get it. It should be fine. It was 2 seconds.
I don't know.
So talking about Casey not watching an episode of Squid Game, and I wasn't here for 4 nights.
Right.
Yesterday I was in the airport, 7 a.m. I'm jam-packed phone, downloads. My job is let me watch all the shows because I really struggled this week to watch shows because I was working, tired.
busy, right.
And my mind wasn't in it. So I said to Casey, I've downloaded everything. I'm going to watch The Traitors on the plane. And I've never seen my husband so upset.
Oh,
He
really?
was like, he was like, go for it, Kay.
No, I just feel like we always go here with this conversation about, the watching without your we did a whole episode on it. It's like
We did. And so
there's not a lot more to be said about it.
Then I said to myself, okay, we watched Landman together. We're killing
With
that.
John Hamm.
It's not anymore, by the way. Did you see last week's?
No
Did you
spoilers.
see last week's
We
episode?
don't know if he's dead.
Okay.
Well, wait.
I think they kill off John Hamm.
Nah.
He has a heart
They couldn't
attack,
afford him.
and I think he's dead.
I don't
No,
think he's dead.
I don't think so. He had such a.
You don't think
It
he's
was a
dead?
cliffhanger. We don't know. That's not a
The
spoiler.
show
We
is
don't know if he's
the
dead.
show is Billy Bob. No,
Yes, it is, and Billy
I
Bob.
think we
and
don't-
I said to you I said from the beginning, considering I did
love
not
it.
care. I don't care for Billy
I
Bob.
know.
He
I'm
is
telling you,
killing it.
Ham. My prediction. It's not a spoiler. It's a prediction.
Okay.
We'll find out this weekend.
I hope not.
That they kill off Ham. He's busy. He's doing other
Well,
shit
why are you going to find out this weekend?
because it's on Sunday night.
No, I thought that was the last episode.
Oh, there was a season
What?
finale.
What a cliffhanger.
Oh,
There's gotta
maybe
be
I'm
more.
wrong.
No,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't
I don't know.
I hope they
Sorry.
don't kill him off because I am a
Felicia's
I'm a
putting her
Ham
hands
fan.
up.
I don't know. Maybe
Big
I'm
fan
wrong.
of John Hamm.
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked. We don't need him. We don't
No,
need
yeah,
him.
he's
We
irrelevant.
don't need him.
Could be
him
anybody.
and Demi Moore. We
It could be
don't
anything.
need.
Yeah, they're
He
getting
lights
paid.
up a scene.
Money.
Let me tell you.
I always say it's all about money.
So, lo and behold, we have that weekly. If I wait for Casey, I will not be able to talk about a big moment on the podcast. Now, I do want to tell you
I'm going to
this.
be honest. I think what softened you up, because I do think this is a repetitive topic.
It is. You're right.
Conversation.
You're right. You're
But
right.
I will say what I think softened you up is I explained myself that this is not only yes, it is scheduling because I only watch TV at night. I am not going to be able to turn on Squid Game. You're not going to tolerate
Casey.
a rewatch.
Casey, but at night it's not- I don't wanna watch
what I
TV at
think
10 o'clock
softened
at
you
night.
up- What I think softened you up is that I said it's not only about the scheduling conflict, it's also about the fact that I genuinely enjoy watching television with my wife. I like to share that moment of watching something that neither of us have watched and enjoying it together. And I know that
Also-
sounds cheesy, but I don't care.
No, it's
No.
so
Also,
good.
what?
That's
why?
why I love
why
you,
you?
Casey.
Why you?
Thanks, Felicia.
Why you won this war was because you mentioned Derek from Big Brother is on it, and I
Right.
was like, Casey's never seen the Traitors, so I was like, okay.
I'm excited to watch it.
But then I
And
thought-
Derek to me is the greatest to play Big Brother.
So, but then can we make a rule that like we start watching TV at 8 o'clock at night and not 10 o'clock at night? The problem is that you're busier during the week at night when I'm home and I'm not traveling.
We can worry about this off.
You're
air,
right. We
but
could we could schedule offline. But I said, fine. I have plenty else to watch. I could watch all the Bravos, all the other things. So we watched a half an episode last night of The Traitors.
Oh.
And then Casey fell asleep.
Oh,
So guess what?
He's a tired boy.
I know. So
He's
guess
tired.
what? Tonight, this is what we're doing. Oh, but you have
Date
to,
night.
You have to edit the podcast.
and then you wonder why I don't have time to watch things with you.
I know. So I'm going to hold on The Traitors for you. Now, we did watch together, but I don't think you finished it, but I did. The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, the final chapter. Did you
I
finish?
saw most of it.
Great. Can we discuss? Can you put your
I mean-
phone down?
Are there going to be spoilers?
Okay, so I think
Because I got like 20 minutes left.
if you're a fan of Natalia and this crazy story, you'll watch it. Like, I think meant spoilers for the audience.
No, for me. Go ahead. Good.
No, I mean, I just think I can't get over the show. It's like you're watching the show and you're like, who do we believe? Do we believe Natalia? Do we believe the adopted parents? It was like giving me vibes of how I feel about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. It's like, who am I
I
believing?
was just about to say the same thing.
You were about to bring up Blake and Justin?
I am, because every time you talk about those people, all I keep
Those
thinking is they're
people.
probably both awful. Everybody wants to pick a side. Everything's got to be compelling and like, oh, who's right, who's wrong.
I don't think- wait.
There
I don't-
there
not-
is a world where
I don't-
everybody involved in Natalia Grace's life is crazy. It's not. doesn't
No,
have to-
and I think Natalia is not, not good.
maybe it's different points of view. In
Right.
other words, I can't speak of Natalia because I think I don't give a shit about that. To me, that the fact that you and your friends, certain friends, are
Jordan
obsessed
Brodsky.
with it, Jordan.
Brodsky.
Obsessed.
I don't get it, but that's just me. It's an age
Because
thing.
it's fascinating.
It's fascinating.
And the crazy circus around her.
There's
like
a lot of crazy circus around a lot of people.
it's called TLC.
Well, I was just about to say, do you feel like the production quality has gone a little downhill? Like it's become more of like a thrown together.
Probably budget.
No, but I mean, I feel like early on it felt more documentary style. Now it's feeling a little more like.
Well, I think she like tossed around the fucking production too. Like I want to film, I don't want to film.
I like that
the producer
woman who does the true crime, the former prosecutor. I like her,
all
but
over.
There's something about the tone of her voice that makes it feel
super scripted.
Not scripted, but it feels very
Wait.
like a low budget true crime thing, where like she's saying the same things several times, but with different words. Like she's got a producer saying, "Now go back and say that same thing," but
Yeah,
say
'cause
it
she's
differently."
basically like the
And
narrator.
Then they use that.
She's
same
on a
clip,
lot
saying
of-
something differently somewhere else, and you're like, all right, it's a little. Well, when Natalia da 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 da, like it's like the same tone, and it just feels very. Like they're stretching it out further than it needs to
The
be.
lawyers
This
and
woman.
the producer.
She's on a
are-
ton of true crime documentaries.
I missed her name.
Former
like a
prosecutor,
go-to.
legal analyst Beth Karras.
Oh, okay.
Which I like her. I just feel like
I
she
like
kinda
her, but
she cheapens what could have been like a documentary. It feels less
but
documentary and
that's-
more like
a lot of the time in true crime, when you have holes of footage, when you're missing things, we need a narrator. So she's basically our narrator. I mean, there were some weird reenactments too that they had her do, but
There were reenactments with everybody, like even like because they couldn't get the family, so like they're using their phone clips, and then they use a really dark room and shows them like flailing their arms on a phone, which is like they're just reenacting over the top of
one of
taped
the
phone calls.
The main stories and the reason why this
That didn't
season
help the cheapness.
season's a little different. Like Natalia basically gets like rescued by this other family that tried to adopt her years ago. It's weird that like everybody wants to adopt her.
Not everybody, like 3 people.
3 different families want to adopt this one girl who's got so many
And
disabilities.
how old is she now?
She's apparently 20, 21 now. Apparently. She's in love with
Has
a
that ever
guy.
been confirmed?
She's in love with a guy that she met online.
Wait, didn't she have a baby? Who had a baby?
Oh, Felicia's getting confused
God.
for
I'm
so
Gypsy.
confused.
Check your
no,
privilege.
Gypsy Rose.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's not Gypsy. It's not Gypsy.
I'm sorry.
That's
It's
okay, Mom.
I'm just really confused
No,
by
it's
both these girls.
Gypsy and Natalia.
Got it.
They both came out, like stories came out at the same time. And
God.
there was a mild obsession with both of them.
Right. They are the same girl. I don't care what you say.
They're definitely not the same girl. One's a dwarf. One killed her mother. So
When you put it like that, they're very different. I guess.
where did you get to? Like, how far in it are you, Kay? I need to know if I could, like, talk about the end. Like, do you know where she ends up?
I'm at the point. I don't know where she ends up, but go for it. I don't care.
She ends up with the DePauls.
With what?
She was with the DePauls.
She stays there. Like, there's many times where she's like, I want to go back to the Manses. She's with this quote unquote bishop and his wife.
I was at the point
Who-
where basically
and
the
then taking her money.
husband's like, I'm gonna have
Wait,
to get out of
doesn't
here.
she have her own money now?
She gets sent. Yes, and they took it from her.
Who's they?
That this
The other
bishop,
family, the
they're like
man.
foster like they foster a
How
lot of
old is she
children.
now?
20, over
She's
18.
lived with them for 10
she
years.
but she shouldn't be getting money from the
That's- that-
system
She
anymore.
gets social security
Because she's disabled.
permanently disabled.
Okay, so she can't find an apartment for $2,000 or whatever.
That's not the point.
$700 a month, but
That's not the point. Is that she made this woman her payee, so like the money's going to her, and this other couple that's now wanting to like take care of her is like
They don't need her money. They're just
like
trying to
they're
help her.
taking your money. Like you need it for medical reasons.
God.
The fighting, so much drama. Natalia is
mess.
also getting money. Like she did a People magazine shoot. She got money for that. Like good for her. She's getting paid.
Good.
She
But-
apparently got a lot of money to do Dr. Phil. That was like a
Yeah.
big chunk of her money.
But the Manses took the money and bought a house or bought a trailer. It's crazy. So I'm happy that she left the Manses like she needed to. But I also think Natalia was using everybody. Like she's so fucking crazy.
There's a scenario where everybody's crazy. It's
Yes,
not-
and
it's-
everybody's using everybody.
And at some point, I do feel bad. Like maybe the DePauls should have stayed out of it. Like it's why do you want to get so involved with this girl?
What tore apart their family, bringing this chaos into their home.
Right. And once it got like
At least that's where I left it.
it gets less chaotic and things are good and the father doesn't leave. Just so you know. Sorry, spoiler. But I do recommend it if you're a fan and you've been watching The Curious Case of Natalia
Look,
Grace.
you got to see this journey through. I
Yeah,
guess. But, like,
exactly.
how easily could this person is at the level of chaos where this isn't resolved. She's 20 years old, right? There could absolutely be another episode where like she goes bonkers and like, I mean, I don't know much about this dude in
The
the
UK.
UK, but like
she met a guy in the UK who did not want to be on camera. So his
Okay.
face is blurred, his voice has changed.
Okay.
He's
how creepy was it when like they're having phone like video
Yeah.
sex? Like
I
and,
think
like, they-
Natalia's doing a lot of sexy things since she was.
like-
She's
it was so
This is where-
cringy. It was so cringy.
You know what? It's too stupid and too.
the whole thing was
The
like
whole
very
thing is
ick.
stupid.
It was all ick.
I mean, why
It was
people,
ick.
especially you're gonna love where I'm leading into, especially after watching.
Are you talking about Jerry?
Yes,
We're not there yet.
Oh,
We're
okay.
not talking
I
about
know,
Jerry
but
yet.
that's where my mind goes.
Well,
Sorry,
and we don't have that anymore to watch. This is different crazy because that crazy was like, let's just get people fighting. This was like layers of like lying and deceit and like, it's just insane. Now, I'm dying to know there was a text Chiron at the end. They reached out to the man's family, like if they had any reaction. They must be bugging the fuck out watching this. 'Cause
They were not framed very
They
well.
look awful. Like apparently they beat their foster kids, and they're apparently fostering to get money from the system.
as a lot of people do.
So fucked
which
up.
is sad.
Is it
Very
enough
sad.
money that you're like?
I don't know, but if
They said how much it was.
everybody's different,
They had
I guess.
11 kids, so you multiply whatever
Wow.
it is. by
11
it,
foster kids.
And if you
Even if they're
multiply that
getting,
by
like,
$1,000 a kid, it's
Yeah.
$11,000 a month.
which is a lot of money in rural
yes,
Tennessee.
that is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And
There's a lot
are
of
they
money anywhere,
taxed
but
on
yeah.
that? Interesting.
Oh, are
I
they?
wonder.
Good
I wonder if
question.
they get taxed on
She,
that.
you know, it's funny. The DePauls did tell Natalia there's a whole scheme where they're like, you're gonna have to pay taxes, and like they need to pay the taxes. So yes, they get taxed.
Interesting.
They do
Okay.
get taxed, or at least do you get taxed on Social Security?
Yes, you do.
So then yes, yes.
It's up to you whether you declare it or not. And at the end, if you don't declare it, and if they think you've made too much, they will take money out.
Can you say
I
when you're?
smell a tax related podcast spinoff.
You look good, Mom. I can't get over how good you look. You don't. Who needs a gallbladder? You look
Apparently,
great.
nobody. Gallbladder and appendix, the two,
And a spleen.
and it's, well,
Lennon
it's-
asked me, "What's the point of the spleen?"
It's something to do with. I think you need a spleen more than the appendix or gallbladder. But I'm not a doctor. I have no idea.
Okay.
Even though it was explained to me 7,000 times.
Well, I recommend Natalia Grace and Casey. At least we started to watch it together. Then I had to leave you for a jet plane, and you didn't finish it.
okay.
So
Have a chance.
I will. I will say this.
Now, and you know what? I'll watch it tonight when we're winding down. I'll watch the rest of Natalia Grace with you. How
I
about
thought
that?
we were going to do the Traders. No, the Traders is priority.
I was proving a point that you will not do a rewatch. So when you
I will
watch
go
ahead,
into.
I end up getting left in the
I'll
dust.
read. By the way, I'm reading. I finished the book. I started another book. My 2025 resolution for the year: meditating and reading. Okay, you're going to die. So I read this book by Dan Harris, suggested by Darren Karp.
Oh, right,
who was
right,
on our podcast
right,
called
right.
10% Happier. And the book was great because it's like his real life stories, how he had this panic attack on air, and his journey through learning about meditation. And I loved it because he was like, ugh, I don't want to do this. I hate it. I can't be my own thoughts. Like all the things I think about meditation. Guess what I've done every single morning since Tuesday? I fucking have meditated 10 minutes a day.
Well, I think for you, your brain
Fantastic.
For you, your brain must be scrambled.
So for me, I like doing it first thing in the morning.
well, isn't
and
that when you should do it?
It's a great routine. I've been meditating
They say-
pretty much daily for 10 years.
There's no rule.
Oh.
Whenever you could do it, do it.
Okay.
But I like doing it in the morning, set my day up. So my next book that I'm now reading is called The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. There's all like nonfiction, a little bit self-help. Give it to me. I'm all here for the help. I just want to feel good. So in that note,
What are you running from, Marni?
this podcast. The day in the hospital, when you were in the hospital and I waited hours.
Not hours. It was not hours. It was the quickest thing ever.
By the way, Felicia hitting on all the doctors. The anesthesiologist, attractive, elder African-American man. She goes, nice watch. Then,
and I asked him, what was the brand of the watch?
and what was the brand?
A Breitling.
What is that? How much is that? What does that run?
Not like a Rolex. However,
They're so much bigger than Rolex now. There's so many other watches that
Oh,
are
I'm
like,
sure, but
because I see what these CEOs are wearing in San Francisco,
And what are
and they're
they
not
wearing?
wearing.
What are they wearing?
I have to ask my camera
You have
guy.
to ask.
He knows.
Please ask.
He knows. And then Dr. Wang, who did your surgery.
Yes.
What's his background? Is he Korean? He's Asian.
He's Chinese.
He's Chinese.
Yes.
Well, young and attractive.
Yes.
And of course, we'd noticed that none of these men were wearing rings, but probably because they're in an
Well,
OR.
would I want a ring stuck in me? I hope not.
That's a funny point, but no,
Yes.
that's why they weren't. So anyway,
But he
while-
was delightful.
I was in the waiting room and I was like, I'm going to watch this. I'm going to try to watch Selling the City, which is like Selling Sons and Selling the OC. Ooh, I could barely get through an episode. That was when I took my nap, sitting up in the waiting room. I'm not a fan of the show. Jordan has a friend that's on it that he grew up with in Atlanta. Jade, she was beautiful, but the show felt so fake, so contrived, so ridiculous. I'm not a fan. If anyone's watching it, let me know. Okay. The next assignment that we had, it was a week of medical dramas.
Right.
My goal, and between yesterday on the plane and today, I've done it, was to watch Doc with Scott Wolf on Hulu, which was on Fox.
Actually, it's
on
right,
Fox.
It's on Fox.
And The Pitt, 2 episodes dropped on Max.
Right.
I'm going to say how I feel.
Okay.
And then you're going to say how you feel.
Okay.
For medical dramas of the year, I think The Pitt was fantastic. Okay? It drops like 24. It starts at 8 a.m. The second episode is 9 a.m. It felt real. It was fast paced. There's lots of characters. I wasn't confused. Noah Weil looks so aged, but I love it.
Yes, he does.
I fucking love it. I'm like, he looks tired. He looks how a doctor should look.
Haggard.
It was so diverse.
Haggard.
Give it to me. I think men are so much better looking with age. I love the scruff. I love the salt and pepper. Give me I'm a fan of the show. It gave me ER vibes, but it just felt not gimmicky. And then I watched Doc today and I was like, Doc is ridiculous. Doc is fucking ridiculous. I'm probably not going to watch it again. Doc, Scott Wolf had a little part. The lead is played by an actress named Molly Parker, who's from Deadwood. And she looks just like Carrie Coon. And if I'm going to choose between the two, I'm done with Doc. I'm sticking with The Pitt. Felicia.
Well, yes, The Pitt did remind me very much of ER.
Well,
and
same writers, producers.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why there's a lawsuit. Yeah,
Really?
Michael Crichton, the creator, is suing.
Yes, I enjoyed it, but I'm waiting for the unusual.
It felt so
What-
real.
Felt real?
You don't think that's like a full hour of being in a trauma
emergency?
ER? Yeah.
I don't know. I was in a trauma ER. Was nothing like that.
You were in a trauma ER at New Hyde Park where people had assigned surgeries.
No. I'm
with
talking
Daddy?
when I took myself to Plainview. That was an ER, and it's trauma. What
This
makes
takes
it,
place in Pittsburgh, which is why it's called the
it's
Pitt. Pittsburgh, Pitt. It's like, think like a little bit of both. You like that? I knew that.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
I
Yeah.
couldn't imagine. I kept thinking it was the Pitt because it was
It's
shaped-
called that too,
Okay,
but there
okay.
was a part where like his boss was like, "Stop calling us it
yeah,
the
right,
Pit."
the Pit.
But
Okay.
I think it's like a
I
combination.
kept waiting. Where is the hook? What is the hook to hook you onto the show?
I felt.
Besides the fact that, yes, I loved ER. Who didn't?
What was the hook there?
George Clooney? I don't know. What was
like
the hook?
Noah Weil.
It's a
I
typical
wanna know-
medical drama.
I thought Doc felt a little
yes.
typical, but like,
Well, the hook
twist.
The hook
is she
is
has fucking amnesia for the past 8 years.
Right.
So you think
Because-
that'll be the basis
yes,
of the whole?
absolutely.
So what did you think of Doc? Are you going to watch it?
I
might
don't
watch
know.
it again.
I might watch it. I'm waiting for the hook.
Don't you think that the show ended with a hook? Like, is she going to find out that like her?
Well, yeah, she's going to find out all of that.
So
but that's
in
not.
the-
So the hook is her not remembering the past
Okay,
8
let me just
years
say
of
this.
her life.
In the show, The Doc, I thought Scott Wolf was going to be like the main character in this. He's
Well, he
not.
might be. Don't
he
give
might,
it a chance.
But
he might
she's
be.
the cover
Well, she is the
photo.
yeah, she is.
So she's like
she's
this,
the it girl.
She's this doctor who has zero bedside manner, is
Zero.
a full bitch, but she's an amazing doctor. Then
Right.
she gets into a car accident and she wakes up and she's had brain
trauma.
surgery
Right,
and
brain trauma.
forgot the last 8 years of her life. And in those 8 years, she's lost a son, she got divorced, and now she's like, fuck. So we're learning. Yeah, I might watch it again, but it was a little cheesy.
Yeah.
I thought the Pit just felt real. But you're right. Maybe
I'm
sure
waiting.
it's elevated. Okay, there's one female character. I'm like, why does she have like a house arrest bracelet on? I want to know like why.
Well, okay.
Not that that's the hook.
That's not the hook.
I
But
I
right.
like Noah Weil.
So do I.
We're gonna. Oh, it's flashbacked as well. Did you notice the flashback?
Marnie loves a flashback.
I love a flashback.
And my
too.
guess was it was during COVID. Correct?
Yes. Oh, yes.
He flashed back to COVID and lost
because he was-
his mentor.
Yes, because he was
traumatized.
Listen, I assume a lot of nurses and doctors are traumatized by
1000%.
COVID. Absolutely. So yes, that's the hook. That is the
That
hook.
he lost this
Yes.
doctor and
Yes.
he blames himself.
Maybe I guess in time we'll see.
Okay.
But I love medical drama.
I know. So
I love it. Well, after a while,
are you going to stick with the Pit? Are you going to try again?
I'll try it again.
I love the 24 aspect of it. I love that.
Yeah. No, I
Did you watch 24?
Yes.
Every episode, every season?
No, not every episode.
I did.
Not every
I binged
season.
that. Casey, were we together when we binged 24?
Maybe the later seasons.
Okay. Also, when we got out of hospital, when I drove you home,
Are you British?
what did I say?
When we get out of hospital? Out of the hospital, as we say in the United States.
The night
Did you go to university?
The night before and the day we got back to your apartment, we binged Lockerbie on Peacock.
Right.
And that was with Colin Firth.
Yes.
Now, I did not know anything about this story that happened in 1988. And basically, it's based on a true story. It's based on this man who had a daughter died on the plane. There was a bomb on the plane, and the plane was going from London to New York in 1988, and it bombed over Scotland in this little town,
Was it Pan
Am, a little town called Lockerbie. And this father wrote a book, and he's part of it. And did you know about this story? Did you remember this story?
I remembered some of it. Obviously, not all the parts that came out on the show. But, I mean, it's his journey about trying desperately to find out the truth.
Yeah, because they blamed it on
The government,
the Libyan terrorists. I thought this story was very interesting. I'm very happy I watched it. This was intense. This was sad. It also, it reminded me of what you say all the time, which is don't trust anybody. Not even our fucking government. This man's been fighting
for
literally
years.
Fast forward, there was a trial after 9/11. The trials go on and on and on. It was intense.
A lot of cover up with the governments.
And it's
All
so
the
crazy,
governments.
which scares
Everything.
me.
It's London. I mean, it's England and America.
Doesn't this scare you when you hear these stories? When you hear about these California fires.
Yeah.
You're hearing about what the government's doing. You're hearing about how the fucking city officials fucked up and the water hydrants and this insurance shit. And it's oh my God. And there are now these theories. Do you ever think oh my God?
It's always don't believe anybody and don't trust anybody.
Right. So do you think...
I think it's all. I mean,
do you think the fires were I don't know.
Well, no, the fires are real.
Yes.
Obviously. I don't know. It's nature. It's overwhelming. They don't have the manpower. They don't have the water power. There's a lot that's.
I think the problem is that all it takes is a few things of showing distrust for the organization of our system for people to question everything, right? All it takes is your leadership to tell you that no, JFK was assassinated by some lunatic, and then when everybody starts accepting that wasn't true, then you're what else isn't true? And then lunatics will take that and run with it.
I think
the problem is you genuinely don't know what's real and what's not anymore,
right?
Because
and it's scary.
There is a demonization of questioning anything because it's oh, you're a lunatic conspiracy theorist. Well, it's just because you believe one thing doesn't mean you believe that the Earth is flat. You know what I mean? It's okay to question some things. I'm not saying that about the fires per se, but healthy distrust is completely healthy. It's okay to question some things, but you got to be careful how far you take it, I guess.
So if you want to have an understanding of questioning the government, just watch this. Let's get Dominick on Zoom.
Yeah, let's see what he thinks about the flat Earth theory.
What did you say, Felicia? Talking to the mic,
What's
Mom.
with the tank top? Is it summer?
I'm indoors.
Where are you?
The Bronx.
In a tank top? Really?
Maybe it's hot. Maybe he's got a lot of
Inside.
It's not hot. He's in a
Maybe he has heat. Maybe he's...
I keep going outside to check on my car, but then I come back in the house and I have a tank top on.
Why do you check on your car?
That's why he
Are you
couldn't
nervous
come.
About
My car is 2 blocks, so my car's in the shop. That's why I'm not there.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
Dom, we have to start off with, first of all, thank you for joining us, everybody.
My
Dominick
pleasure. I'm sorry I'm not there.
Dominick Pupa is the host of the very popular podcast, Fixing Famous People, which, by the way, I saw listed on Apple the other day as a recommendation. Mm-hmm. So whatever algorithm you guys got going on, it's working.
We're working it, honey. We're shaking every tit we got these past couple of months. We're going for it. We really are.
You're killing it. I do have to ask you, because you did post about it. What work did you have done yesterday?
Oh. Just a little bobo.
I told you, Bo.
It looks good. It looks very natural.
See, I even have bruising here. Do you see that? That didn't happen last
yes.
time.
Yes.
A little bit.
Takes a week. 1 week.
How do you know,
And it's
Felicia?
not even Botox. It's something called I mean, technically it's pronounced Zeman, which is like
Stop.
you
Like,
know,
sounds like semen.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
like I go there and I'm like, Myra, blast my face with Zeman. Let's do this.
Oh,
Right.
is that to help with bags? Like, is that why?
It's Botox. It's just like a non-brand name Botox. Xeomin.
Is that like the generic brand and it's less money?
Yes, from what I understand. I mean, in the nutshell, yeah.
Well, you look good.
Thank you.
It looks good.
I'm eating a chocolate-covered banana right now.
That's what I was about to say. What are you eating?
and
It looks really
not
good.
Like, it looks like a something.
banana.
It's banana.
It's a banana.
Yep.
Makes sense. So,
Wait,
Yes.
Felicia, how are you? I heard about your Brazilian butt lift. I guess it went well. You seem
Yeah,
sitting down.
I wish. No,
how
I
did
really.
I forget to say what she said? We were talking about the surgery.
When
The
I-
first thing when she came out of like,
No, when I went in.
No, you went in.
And they said to me, "You are here for a gallbladder, removal." And I went, "You mean I'm not here for a breast reduction?" What?
no, but when I went back into the room where she was like coming out of anesthesia,
Right.
the first thing she said to me was, I didn't get a facelift. She was completely out of it. And I was like, I think she's fucking serious right now. I
Oh my
I was
God.
joking.
know you were joking, but you were so out of it. I was like, I think she's serious.
No, I'm a jokester like you. I make everything comical.
Wait, do you want one though? Are you trying to get work done?
I would love a facelift. Are you kidding?
So
Absolutely.
what's stopping you?
What's
What-
stopping me? I'm like, do
think
I
you
want to
look
look
good for your
stupid?
age.
Fine.
What
I
do you mean,
look
do you
good.
want to look stupid? If you have a good facelift, let's look at all the amazing women. I mean, did Martha Stewart get a facelift? Like, whatever she's got going
She
on.
looks.
She had
looks
to.
No, but she has a great doctor.
She's in her 80s.
I know.
It's like they'll look good, and we talk on my podcast about like we shouldn't be talking about people's physical appearance, but
I
you
know.
should. That's the reason. You just should. But
Right.
Melissa McCarthy came out on the Golden Globes. She
Different.
looked so. She was already very. Melissa McCarthy's always been very pretty. She came out so subtly refreshed
Yeah, she looked beautiful.
that I would like. Were I friends with her, I would
You would
ask,
say-
"Where'd you go?" Because
Right.
you look.
Who's your
It's like
doctor?
an elevated version of yourself. That's what.
Do you
it's
think
for.
it was like Ozempic plus work done, whatever she had done?
I know. I just mean whatever she had done to her
Yeah,
face.
she looked-
I can't tell if she lost weight or not. She had a big blousey dress on.
Did you like
she
that
did.
Christian Siriano pink?
I loved it. I wish they'd rehearsed with the dress on, so Aquafina didn't have
Yep.
to keep dodging it.
It
for
did
5
feel
minutes.
like Aquafina was kind of getting taken
A little
over.
bit, and I
Yeah.
don't think Melissa knew, obviously, and it sucks because that was a very funny bit that they
Yes.
were doing.
Yes.
But yeah, I think she looked great.
So, Dom, I do have to tell you, I gave Felicia every week, I give her some assignments, and sometimes she doesn't do it. But she did this week. She watched the Jerry Springer doc
Okay.
along with myself. I said it's only 2 eps. It's very fast.
Very quick.
Very quick. Very
so,
quick.
for those that don't know, Dom has a background in working on talk shows.
Yes.
Tell me when and what talk shows you worked on.
I started working on Ricky Lake during in 1997, which was when the show was like peakity peaking. It had already been like a huge success. I was not part of the ramp up to that, but I was part of the people that maintained it, I suppose. And I worked there for 3 years. And then I moved to Chicago and I worked at Jenny Jones for 3 years.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
God.
Before Ricky, I worked at Maury for 3 years, right out of college. Then Ricky, then Jenny, from 2000 to 2003. And
This
we
was
worked
the height of the talk show, I
the
feel
height,
like.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're working in the NBC Tower in Chicago, and
Oh, you were in
shooting
Chicago.
on Jenny Jones, yeah.
That's
Shooting
where Jerry
on the
Springer
same-
was.
Jerry Springer was Chicago.
Shooting. Did you not know this when you asked me to? That's
No.
so funny.
No.
I thought you knew. That's so
no,
funny.
I didn't know you
So
were on Jones. I thought it was
know-
only Ricky Lake.
I'm not friends with, but I know by face almost everyone that was in this documentary. Like I'd seen them in the halls, like. And so Jenny Jones shot on the same floor as
Oh.
Jerry Springer. Our offices were not on the same floor. The studio, it was not the same studio, but both studios were on the same floor. And I will tell you, my initial out the gate when people find out that we had access to the Jerry Springer show, I know that there are moments when the show looks fake, and maybe it was produced. But when I tell you I could lose track of the amount of times that my friends and we all smoked cigarettes then, we no longer do, but we would take the elevator to go down to go smoke, and we'd ride the elevator with these Jerry guests post show, and they were like bloodied and bruised, like missing teeth and pissed. And like you would, if the elevator door would open and you'd see a haggard Springer guest in there, you'd just look at the producer that was accompanying them. And it was almost like if you see a dog on an elevator and the owner will be like, not a good idea, he's not friendly. But we had that relationship with them where they'd look at us and be like, we need this car to ourselves. Just give us a minute. It's not going.
Step back, step out of it.
That. And we always did. We always respected it.
I enjoyed the documentary. I didn't realize that Jerry really he didn't want this. Like, I kind of fell into what the show became. And I thought that was really interesting. Like, he was kind of wanted to be a politician.
Well, he did.
Did you know this?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yes, I did.
He seemed like a nice
He
person.
ran. Don't forget, he ran while the show was still on.
For mayor?
Or for governor?
Either Congress or Senate. And he came in like third place, but he still did the show and figured out a way to run at the same time, but he did run. He was mayor of Cincinnati. What they didn't say, I'm 90% sure that I'm right about this, was that he was removed from office because he wrote a prostitute a check.
Weird.
And they traced it back to him. So
weird.
So he had to step down. I couldn't believe that didn't come up when they were like, "Oh, he's the mayor of Cincinnati."
Weird considering who our president is.
Watching it.
Sorry.
Wait. I finished watching it, I think, this morning. Now, I occasionally watch Jerry Springer over the years. When I say occasionally, because I could not stand the white trash bullshit. And they were truly white trash. I mean, and the fact that they, on the documentary, showed the segment of the
triangle.
country.
What they call it? It was like the Bermuda Triangle.
The Jerry Springer Triangle.
Right.
Jerry
Which
Springer
was like
Triangle.
so appropriate.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled. If I was a producer on that, I would have run from that company. Run.
I
That
mean,
was
what did you think of that? Like, that must have been a real tough show to work on.
Oh, yeah.
Like that poor guy, like he was wild. Now,
It was rough working on Jenny. Like, we would many times spend the night in the office as well. A lot of us didn't sleep the night before our shows were taping. Like, it was a lot of work. It really was.
And Jenny was not as
No
way. Right. I said, what does this world come to that Jerry Springer?
Well, did you know of this executive producer, Richard Dominick?
Oh, yeah, he's famous.
He's famous.
I mean, if you work in talk shows, everyone knows who he is.
Wow, he really turned that show around. He really turned it around.
It seems like he produced the documentary, to be honest with you. I mean, it looked like a king.
It did. A little mob bossy, a little king. So for those, I think this is super interesting just from a production standpoint. I've never worked on a talk show. I feel like I did want to work on a talk show, but just tell me, the hours are brutal, right? Like, it's a different kind of...
It's so similar to the kind of stuff you do. I'm surprised you haven't, because you would have run yourself ragged, but you would have excelled there. I mean,
I do think I would have killed it on Jerry Springer.
You 100% on any of them, because of just the rhythm of how you work. Like, when I worked with you on Long Island Medium, it's like that same... Your energy booking and producing that show is like the same energy of working on a talk show. It's just nonstop. And when you worked there, we were shooting a lot more episodes than in the end than when you left, and so it was like a lot. The pace was much quicker in the beginning when you guys worked before I came.
When you were on these talk shows, like, what did you do exactly for Ricky Lake?
I was an associate producer. Actually, the funny thing is I started out on that show as the fact checker.
Oh.
Because in the mid-90s, someone on the Jenny Jones show went home and murdered the guy that brought him on the show and said, "I have a crush on you."
Oh, I think I remember that.
It was a big deal. It changed everything.
Yes.
I can't believe that the Jerry Springer documentary did not mention that
other murder. Wait,
because
that murder was before this. That murder was before the Springer guest murder.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, I don't remember the Springer murder.
Me neither.
It didn't even ring any bells with me.
Interesting.
But Jenny was sued on the show, and Telepictures, like, This guy came on the show, told someone had a secret crush, and then it was a man.
Right.
And I guess after it aired, or I don't even think the show got to air, but he went home and
Right. I remember that.
different versions of the story, but he shot him.
Wow.
That guy just got out of jail, I think last year or the year prior. I think he's on parole or whatever.
Holy
but,
shit. How did
Yeah,
you,
and
like,
it was eventually overturned. Like, then there was a civil suit where
did you guys have to like go to court and like, were you guys subpoenaed?
They did. There's a whole, like, you can find it probably on YouTube, it aired when Court TV aired live shit then, and there were cameras in the courtroom, and it was a disaster because Jenny took the stand. Jenny, who couldn't be a lovelier person, but, you know, Long Island Medium included, unless you have an EP credit on a show, talent's involvement in producing is not what people think it is.
Right.
The Jerry Springer doc made that very clear. Like,
Yes, it did. Jerry had nothing to do with any of it.
And to be honest, it's hard for someone even like Richard Dominick to keep track of, like, what did they say? They did 200 shows. Can you imagine 200 shows a year? There's no way. Talent can't absorb that amount of energy.
Right.
And Jenny, for her, to be fair, tried to be as involved as possible and wanted to know like all the details of stuff. But it never, it's too difficult. It's too much. That's why you have producing teams on a talk show like that. There's not, that was one thing about the Springer documentary that I thought was the weird. They made it seem like the three people they spoke to were the only people booking every episode of that show.
And we know that's not true.
It's just
impossible.
I can't imagine how it's possible.
So you guys had like teams, like you would take, you know,
Producer, APPA teams. There were 5 of them.
so
Yep.
would you each take a day during the week? Like you each had a
We
day
would
during the
shoot
week?
6 shows a week. So someone had 2 episodes and everyone else had 1, and it would rotate who had 2 shows in a week. Because having 2 shows in a week was terrible. We would shoot 6, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There'd be 2 shows each day.
But why? If there were 6 shows, why? You aired more than once a day?
No.
6 shows.
No,
you
we
aired.
just backlogged them for the summer.
Okay,
and we
okay.
didn't tape every week, too. We also had dark weeks like any other show.
Wow. Would
Yeah.
you say what? I can't believe you were on Maury, Ricky, and Jenny. Were they all kind of similar production wise? Would you say?
Yes.
Wait, so is Chicago like the talk show hub? You have Oprah.
At the time, it was.
Wow.
Like, there was, I remember even when Jenny got canceled in 2003, it was just like, what show will move into this studio now? Because like Chicago needs to have this amount of shows, and Judge Mathis ended up moving in there. I think it was
Where was like Sally? Where was Phil
Oh,
Donahue?
yeah, Sally.
Where were those shows?
Sally and Phil and Maury and Ricky were all in New York.
Okay.
Rolanda. I mean, there were so many
So
of them.
So many.
Tempest Bledsoe. And then in LA, there was like Carney Wilson and Danny Bonaducci.
Oh my god,
That was for a hot minute.
The hottest.
minute. Like, right.
hottest.
And I
Like
remember.
maybe 2
and by
seasons.
the way, I actually used to watch Danny.
really?
Yes. I watched all that shit.
So what? Tell me about your journey out of talk shows and like why.
Okay, so then I went, after Jenny got canceled, I moved to LA and started like using my talk show skills on other shows, and I just ended up working in reality. Like, I don't know how it happened, but I just ended up working at The Bachelor after talk shows. And then stayed with reality for, ever until I got laid off this past year from Teresa's latest show when it got canceled.
Right.
And then that was it. And now I'm just, I'm on leave.
Now you're podcasting it up.
Now I'm podcasting it up.
I think the whole industry, especially now, is just at a standstill.
A little bit. I mean, people are figuring shit out. I mean, now that LA has burned down and the industry was already collapsing, and it's like, woo.
Right.
Look, everyone's taking a deep breath.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So in general, why do we think the talk show boom kind of drizzled out? I mean, it's still, we have Kelly Clarkson now. And Jennifer, I think Hudson has a show.
People just got, like anything, people just got tired of it. And it's
Right.
like, there's only so many times you can see people beat the shit out of each other before you just get desensitized to it. And I also think, too, with sort of, 9/11 was in 2001 in the middle of the peak of like all this stuff. And these daytime talk shows were a good escape from what was sort of a dark time. And if you want to get like real heady about it, I'm sure there are some historians who were like, with Obama incoming, this was sort of a the country sort of seemed more aspirational at the time, and that always affects what the entertainment's going to be.
Right.
And I think with like having the first black president and Yes We Can, talk shows like Jerry Springer just didn't feel like the thing.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. I never thought of it that way.
I also think
Stuff like that went away, and stuff like that's when Judge Judy became popular.
Right,
Like
but-
actual justice.
But I really do believe that all of that crap, and I mean the talk shows of Jerry Springer of that ilk, opens up the reality shows of what you guys are watching now. You know, like
Sure.
the
I
Housewives.
mean, Richard Dominick will say that he's the reason there is reality TV. I'm sure
Maybe.
he would take
Yeah,
credit
and it
for
was
that.
I don't
funny,
know.
too, that I was sort of laughing a lot at the stuff that he seemed to be taking credit for, because there was no. First of all, Geraldo.
Yes,
had
I remember
a
that.
plan, like a widespread beating or whatever you want to call it,
where he broke his nose.
Oh,
Yes.
But the chair was
Yes,
thrown
yes,
at Geraldo.
yes.
And that's
I remember that.
Like,
Right.
that's not mentioned. The Jenny Jones murder wasn't mentioned. It just
Right.
seemed like Richard Dominick plucked Jerry Springer out of obscurity, and
That's maybe they couldn't get the rights to show that
yeah, but they could have
footage.
talked
They
about
could
it.
have.
I mean, they absolutely could have talked about it.
Yeah, I thought the first episode moved. The second episode was slower. And you're right. That's a really good point. The second episode became a little true crime doc. It was just about the murder. That was the entire second
A
episode.
little, yeah.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for that man whose mother died. I mean, just his life's never been the same.
And she
and,
should have
like,
never went on. That she seemed kind of normal. I mean, the fact that she walked off stage and was like, "No."
I thought
Like,
I
it's-
thought the
you know,
same
it's
thing.
not like they had a
she
fight
seemed
and they
like
killed
I'm
her.
done. I'm not
She
gonna have.
was. She
I'm
like
not gonna.
she took the high road.
Yeah.
Dom, we want you to be part of our last segment here. Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
What are you watching this week?
I'm finishing Natalia Grace,
Oh, we just spoke about it.
and I'm starting. What am I starting? Well, all my regulars are not back yet, like SVU, Family Guy. Like, I need all these, like, my staples.
Have you done the Traders yet?
No, I have not. It just, I don't know. I know you're just airing, but only one episode is out, I think, so
No,
far.
3, and it's a lot because
Oh, they released 3 at once?
No,
I can't.
they just released these 3. Then I believe it's weekly. I hope because we're also behind. We started. Casey fell asleep.
But I understand. It's like I'd already had. This is going to sound like I smoke way too much weed, and I do. But I only watched the second season of Traders.
Same.
It took me a minute to figure out what the fuck the whole thing was.
Me too.
and
Which
I'm
is
like,
my problem.
You have
so
to
maybe,
really.
maybe I'm going to start with season 1. But then I read
Season 1 is not celebrities.
at all.
No, season 1's normal people.
Got it. Maybe it'll be easier to follow. I don't
Maybe.
know.
I
Who
just
knows?
think you have to like accept the world of like ridiculousness. Do you know what I mean? It's so
I know.
funny.
I read all these things about season 3, though, all these changes, and the way that they were being explained in this article. I'm like, it made me not want to watch it
It's-
because I couldn't figure out what the fuck to do.
Alan, this is not a spoiler. Alan Cummings we only watched the first half hour. Funny, poor Casey thought that the castle was really Alan's. He's like, he's saying it's my castle. I'm like,
He is saying my castle.
I was
He's
like,
always
it's not
trying
his
to confuse
castle.
me.
There's no way it's his fucking castle. It's production. They're paying to rent the castle. So Casey's like, Google it. And I did. It's not his castle.
The one
not
time
his
Marni was
castle.
right, she's going to
Not his
hang on to
castle.
He's
this.
not even Scottish. He's from Encino.
No,
He did say he's Scott. I'm like, this is really his accent. But he did say, we're no longer going to find out when somebody gets removed. We're not going to find out if they're a traitor or a faithful. You know how they say when they're leaving?
And so you just find out at the very end?
I don't know. We haven't gotten that far. But I was like, I like them seeing the reaction. So I'm curious how this goes. Well, there's the big show that's airing this week, Casey, that I will not do without you, because that's our biggest argument, is Casey's favorite show. Severance is coming back.
Oh, that's right.
Severance is coming back on the 17th on Apple TV. They did release the first 8 minutes, which I'm not going to
Yes.
watch. But I do think, Casey, we should watch a recap.
Yeah. Is there one available? I watched all of season 1 twice from start to, because I watched it once and then my ex was watching it. He watched it separately from me, but when he watched it, I just joined watching the whole thing.
Casey did the same exact
Still-
thing. He did the same exact thing.
I was standing up the last 15 minutes of the last episode, and I knew what was going to happen, and I still
Yeah.
had my hands over my face. It was one of the great.
I heard it's a great-
century. That was one time I remember the episode 8 of Severance season 1. I was like, this was a holy shit show. And then it's been so long.
It's been long. Maybe Casey will rewatch the last episode. Maybe that's a good
That's
rewatch.
probably a good idea.
Because now, explain to people, and it's a great rewatch because you're going in knowing things differently. Now, also, I don't think this is a show for Felicia. The one that bends, no. She goes, no. I think it's too slow for you, or you're not going to get it, or you're just not interested.
All of the above.
But you like Apple TV. You like
I
the
like
programming.
some things on Apple TV.
Do you think you would try it?
I don't know.
Do you want to fast forward?
Just fast forward.
Are you watching Squid Games?
I'm only in episode 1, and I'll tell you that I've been. This is my problem. I keep going back and forth between reading the subtitles and hearing it, or hearing it in English.
No.
Oh my God!
No.
I really put a hole in the dike here.
No.
I'm drowning. What's happening?
No, subtitles. You have to hear their voices.
No English dubs.
No English.
No English dub.
No,
okay.
awful.
It is. It doesn't
You're
matter.
talking to a woman who watches Korean content for
all
her free
day
time.
long.
Right.
No English dubs.
That fact is still just. I can't. I don't believe that. I don't believe Marni has a child. I don't believe any of the things in your family.
Wait a minute. I am in contact. Can we tell him?
Sure, she's a big fan.
Explain it to him.
With Korean soap operas?
We have a listener who
From LA.
Lives in LA, but she must be Korean.
She is.
Oh, she's Korean,
She
and
is.
she texts my mom now.
She texts me
About
and we
all the
talk
Korean
about
content and the actors.
I mean, I have not met her. She's in her 40s.
This sounds like a relationship.
Oh my God, I want to talk to her.
Give me your phone.
Wait.
You have to see the main guy from Squid Game. What's his name? The main guy who's in season
He's
1
not
and
gonna
season
know.
2.
He's never going to know.
I'm going to tell you, the people who text me at midnight are not talking about South Korea.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
You're going to die when you see this.
I
Dominic, can you see what this man looks like?
That's the main guy when he was younger.
What? He's the one texting you?
No! Oh, I wish.
my God.
Oh my
Oh my
God.
God.
Oh, can you imagine?
She sent she was like, look how hot he is, or was.
He is gorgeous.
Oh, he's gorgeous.
He's indisputably gorgeous.
That's why I want to meet a Korean man.
Oh my God.
They're gorgeous. No hair. They're hairless.
Right, from the neck down, right.
Well,
Yeah.
She's dying.
Wait, why don't you, Marni, you can take your mother to, you and your brother need to take your mother to
I know.
Korea.
Oh,
so
no.
she can find
I
your next
agree.
husband.
Let's get to
know.
Korea.
Unfortunately for me, the clock is ticking, and it's hard for me.
We're going to find 2 weeks in 2026. I think we need to do this.
I want to go to Korea desperately.
So we're going to watch Severance. Thank you. Let everybody know, my listeners, where they can find you, just in case they don't know where you're from.
Oh, please. The podcast is called Fixing Famous People. You can find the podcast at Fixing Famous People on the internet, and you can find it wherever podcasts are. And we have a Patreon too, which Chris is going to kill me. Patreon.com/Fixing Famous People, maybe. I don't know. And my personal website's domentary.com. You can find all the links there too.
And
I'm on Instagram.
whenever we go to see one of your shows, I talk about it all the time. I love seeing your shows.
Thank you.
Bye, Dom. Bye, Felicia. Thank you guys for joining us. Share,
Thank
like,
you.
love. We love you guys.
Bye.
My Felicia, bye Felicia.